So let's start with 30 minutes pure Pilates, pure mat. Always have to hand your band, your towel, your block, whatever, but we're not specifically using those things today. Let's just start with some footwork. Let your arms hang down by your sides. Try to keep your hips in line and work through your knee, through your ankle. Just lift one heel and swap and swap. Now this comes from the reformer. And imagine that if you were pressing on the bar of the reformer, it's called running, okay? Not that we are, but I want you to try not to put your hip up towards you. I want you to think about really working through the ankle, through the foot, which obviously then travels up into the knee. Let's just do 10, 9, pull that heel right up underneath you. 6, 5, 4, 3, well done, 2, 1, and bring it back down. Let's go for both heels. Lift and lower. Little pause at the top. Lift and lower. Now imagine, I know it's tricky for those who haven't used the reformer. Imagine that you were doing this lying on your back. So if you were lying on your back, you would be very aware of any movement through your spine, more so than obviously standing. But I want you to imagine when you lift your heels, you're pushing away. The point I'm making is I want you to try to straight up, straight down, not doing this kind of thing, okay? So straight up, straight down. So just imagine you're sliding your body up and down the wall behind you. You've got the back of your head, your shoulder blades, the back of your waistband against the wall, and you're sliding straight up, straight down. Let's just do 3 and 2 and 1, bring it back down, and now turn your feet away, pop your heels together, and we're just going to have a little knee bend and straighten, little demi-plie, little bend and straighten. Again, straight down, straight up. The back of your head is directly sitting above the space between your shoulder blades, which is directly above the middle of your waistband behind you. So just visualize that connection there. Every time you bend your knees, turn your knees away. Now, a couple of you have spoken to me recently about lower body stretch. This is very relevant. So if we just bend our knees and hold it here, this is really getting into your heel. You feel that? Hold it and try and turn your knees further away from each other. Try and turn your hips away. Press your heels into the floor. Now, can you keep your heels together, straighten your legs, and lift without your heels separating? Now it's coming from the hips. Lower your heels, bend, and try and push your knees away from each other. Tailbone pointing to the floor, really lengthening the back of the calf, back of the heel into the calf. Straighten, lift, lower. And again. Now, if your heels separate, okay, it's not the end of the world. But just try to draw them together as you lift. You turn your thigh bones away. A little bit more work into the glutes. And lower. Let's just keep that one going. It's a little bend, return, lift, lower. Little bend, return, lift. Let's just do 3 more. Bend. Remember the length through the spine. 2 more. Really good for ankle mobility. Connection through our feet, getting that stretch into the heel, into the base of the calf. Super work. And lower. One more move here is to take your feet wide. So heels still turned in, feet turned away. Now we're going to start with a heel raise and lower, knee bend, return. Heel raise, lower. So a lot of strength work through the lower body. I want you to bring some pelvic floor focus in. When you bend your knees, your pelvic floor lengthens. When you straighten your legs, pull everything back in and squeeze to lift. Lower, let your pelvic floor lengthen. And as you bring it back in, squeeze everything to lift. Can you squeeze more deeply rather than clenching your bum? So put your hands here and think about a very deep internal squeeze. So as you lift your heels, squeeze your pelvic floor, but try not to clench your buttock muscles. Lower, bend your knees and the pelvic floor lengthens. Come back up, Lift your heels and squeeze that deep internal connection. Just do 2 or 3 more. Feel free to leave your hands there to give you something to, to touch and understand, or let your arms relax, of course. Couple more here. So lengthening through the inner thighs as well. Lengthening inner thighs, imagine the inner thighs connecting to the pelvic floor, everything lengthening, and then pulling everything up. I love that jellyfish image, the jellyfish doing this. As you come back up, pull everything up and in, and come up and hold. Stay up on your toes or towards your toes, arthritic toes, bring it a little lower, go into kitten heels rather than stilettos. Okay, just drop one heel and let that hip collapse. Pull it up, drop the other heel. So see now how you're moving through your hips, whereas before I asked you to keep your hips still and down. So if you're a little bit cranky in the toes, don't go quite so high. If your toes allow it, come much higher. So just see how you feel. A lot of work going on here in the back of the pelvis, muscles around the lumbar spine. And work, try not to make it your shoulders, make it your hips. So pull up through the hip. We can kid ourselves here, I think we're doing much more than we are. Pull up through the hip. So I want you to, what you could do is put your thumbs on your ribs, fingertips on your hips, squeeze together, and then squeeze together here, which you won't get so much if you're doing it with your shoulders. So put your hip right up to your bottom ribs and swap. Couple more. Good, good, good. Oh, how are those calves feeling? Bring it back down, have a shake out. We'll give those calves a bit of a stretch because they were quite loaded there, weren't they? So just take one foot back, bend your knee, bend your front knee, sorry, and just press your back heel into the floor. Feel that stretch there. Heavy under the heel that's behind you. And then it's up to you. If you want to increase it, you could increase the bend of your front leg, or obviously reduce it slightly. So that one's up to you. And then step it away and let's swap. Footwork is so important. A lot of our Pilates work focuses on footwork, and needless to say, foundations of our movement as soon as we're up on our feet. So if we've got some kind of restriction through the foot, through the ankle, it's going to travel on up. And there are so many things, issues from our feet and our ankles that present differently. We think it's our back or our hip, and often it can be something totally different, and step it out. And also very much connected to our pelvic floor. So if we've got limited movement through the ankle, that can directly impact on the muscles around the pelvic floor. Okay, let's come down to the floor, please. And we're going to start on one side. I want you to have your knees stacked, and I want you to come onto your elbow on your lower side. Your elbow is underneath your shoulder, waist pulled up and in, hips are stacked. And what I mean by that is that the up hip sits on top of the lower hip, not forward or behind it. Okay, now from here, take your upper leg out long. Option to rest on your fingers. Now here gives you a little bit more support. Here, obviously, is going to challenge your balance. So it's totally up to you. And you're just going to lift and lower. Now, actually, what I'm going to change my mind here. Take this hand and put it under your ribs. And as you lift and lower your leg, can you try not to move through your ribs? What I mean is, I want to avoid this happening, which I'm exaggerating, but happens ever such a lot. So just like before, when we were trying to isolate where we were focusing on, we want the movement to come from the hip, not the spine. So if every time you lift your leg, your ribs collapse, that tells you that your spine is doing an awful lot. So stay true through your spine as you lift and lower. And that way, my goodness me, you'll feel the work here. Feel free to leave your hand under your ribs as feedback, perch on your fingertips, or challenge your balance. Let's do a couple more. I know it's a tough one. Nice work. And relax, bring it back home, bend that knee. Now from here, we're going to a clam. Open and close. Now to measure your setup here, you could have your arm behind you like so, to make sure that your upper hip doesn't roll back. So your hips are stacked, and lift your upper knee, or just have a little look when you open that knee. Make sure that your upper hip doesn't roll. Again, think about trying to turn your thigh bone. Muscles around the pelvic girdle, around the lumbar spine, building strength to permit a bigger range of movement, or to create a bigger range of movement, but also to stabilize the rest of the structure. Let's just do 2 more here. Great work. And 1 more, and bring it back down. It's a little bit achy, that one. Drop that knee on the floor. And what I want you to do is take your lower arm out long. You can use your lower arm as a pillow, okay? Or if you've got your block handy, pop your block under your head. Now your lower leg is bent, and you're going to lift and lower. Lift. Now try not to go wonky with the alignment of your knee to your ankle. So as you lift, give that inner thigh a good old squeeze. Now typically we're a little weaker in the inner thigh, so we've got to work a bit harder on this one. Don't worry about how high you lift. Think about your alignment, which I realize here is a bit tricky. I can see myself on the screen, so I can cheat and make sure how I'm doing it. But if you can't see yourself, not quite as easy, but what you can do is see how when your leg goes back down, that your knee and your ankle meet the floor together. Now this time lift, hold it, and straighten straight out away, and pull back in and lower. So lift, push your legs straight out, pull back in and lower, and again lift, push that leg out long, pull back in and lower. Let's do 3 more like that. Lift, keep that connection through your center, pull back in, just a couple more like this, and lift, send your leg long, pull back in, and another one, lift. Now send your leg long, and we're going to keep it here. We're going to pull in and push 6, pull in and push 5. Come on, stay with it. Don't let that leg rotate. Keep the upper hip quiet. And it's 3. Oh my goodness, feel that inner thigh now. Last 2, well done. Squeeze that pelvic floor a little more. 1, bring it back home. Woo. And we're going to stretch it out. So roll over onto your back. And we're going to go into frog's legs, and we're going to come back to some footwork. It's a bit faffy because the mat can get sort of rucked up a bit, so that can be a bit annoying. So you might choose, just for this one, you might choose to shuffle down the mat so that your legs are off the mat, or fold it over, or whatever. Just see how you get on. We're going to start frog's legs. So your knees are wide, soles of the feet together. Let the knees become heavy. And then we're going to slide both feet away, rotate so that they come back parallel, open them out and slide them back in. Slide both feet away, bring them back so that the big toes are pointing to the ceiling, then rotate so your big toes are pointing either side of the room, and slide them back in. Now you've got that pattern sorted, bring your focus to your lumbar spine. What's going on? Because I can almost guarantee that your back is trying to get a little involved here. So I often talk about making a triangle. If you were to have your hands like so on the front of the pelvis, so the heels of your hands are on your hips, fingertips pointing down towards the pubic front of the pelvis, what we call the pubis symphysis, the pubic bone, thumbs looking at one another across your belly button, or thereabouts. Make that triangle so that the 3 points of the triangle, as much as you can manage, stay in line with each other as you open and close at the hip. Now, the other thing I want you to notice is when your knees are bent, are they the same, or is one knee tending to open a little more than the other? It's not right or wrong, it's just for you to understand better how you're moving. Let's just do a couple more here. Well done. It's quite a tough one, isn't it? Just to keep that pelvis quiet, to keep that lumbar spine quiet. Super. Come back in and bring your knees back to meet each other, and just walk your feet apart back to their neutral position. So your heels are in line with your sit bones. Shoulders are relaxed. Find that length in your spine, and just flatten your back, because with the best one in the world, there's a very good chance it was getting a little involved. Even if it was quietly tapping on the back door, it was trying to get involved. And then relax away. And again, tilt your pelvis, flatten your back. Think about trying to point your tailbone down towards your heels. And relax away. Super. Now this time, going to a flat back, Point your tailbone to the ceiling and roll yourself up and away. Lift up those hips, drive those hips to the ceiling. And curl slowly all the way back down to neutral. Let's do that one again. Tilt your pelvis backwards, point your tailbone towards the ceiling, and roll yourself back up. Send those hips right up towards the ceiling. And curl slowly back down. And we're just going to do that one more time. Tip your hips back, pick up your tailbone, knees stay in line, equal weight onto both feet. Send those hips upward. And again, curl yourself back down. Take both legs long, take both arms long, and come into a full body stretch. And then we're going to come away onto side two. Okay, so get yourself set up. Probably need to change ends of the mat. You're going to come onto your elbow of your lower arm. Elbow under your shoulder, hand out in front, and flat to the floor. Hips are stacked. Again, take a moment to think about the alignment of the hips. And think of your spine in a diagonal line, like a ski jump. So you're not collapsed down, because as soon as you do that, look, the shoulder rotates forward. We've lost support through the neck. We've lost alignment through the spine. So find that diagonal line and then continue away with your leg here. Okay, fantastic. So fingertips here, or as we did before, sort of engaging our alignment. And we're going to lift and lower. So you can have your hand under your ribs to give you feedback. You could take your arm away to give you greater challenge. You can pop your fingertips like so to give you that support. Now, if you find when you lift your leg that you're constantly collapsing here, just don't lift so high. Just take it an inch away, and gradually, combination of building strength and then greater range of movement, or maybe not. Do you know what? Maybe for you, you're a little more restricted here. Sometimes we have to just accept how our own bodies behave. And there are certain things that the person on that mat can always do that thing. I've never been able to do it. But then you can do this thing that they can't. And that's just, that's just how it is. Okay, we're going to lift and lower. But you're keeping that long diagonal line through the spine. Let's do 3 and 2. Nice work. And 1, and then bring it back in. So your hips are stacked and we're into our clam. Open and close. And really feel how you turn your thigh bone away. So it's not that you're lifting your knee. Think about trying to turn out your thigh bone, and your knee has to lift because of it. So think of the action starting. The origin is here. Okay? Your knee follows the movement. It doesn't lead the movement. The action is the head of the femur rotating in the socket of the hip, which means that the thigh bone turns outward, which means that the knee is obliged to lift. And that can give you a slightly different experience with regards to alignment. Let's go for 3 more here. It's quite an achy one. And 2, keep those ribs quiet. And again, 1, and bring it back down. Okay, you're going to bring that up and onto the floor. Make a pillow with your lower arm, or use your block, whatever works for you. Now your lower leg stays bent, and we're going to lift and lower. So if every time you lower down, your knee finds the floor and then your foot, that's telling you you're slightly out of alignment. So try to lead a little bit more with your knee. It's more likely to be that way around. It's less likely to be the other way around. So think about trying maybe to lift with your knee and let your foot travel too, okay? And squeeze into your inner thigh. And try squeezing, get that jellyfish, squeezing into your pelvic floor as you lift, and then release, and squeeze as you lift, and then release. It's going to help you. It's going to help with the work that we're doing, but it's going to help also to stabilize the lumbar spine, the pelvic girdle, keep us safe. Let's do 3 and 2. Nice work. And lift. I'm going to send that leg out long, bend in and lower. Now this is where, if we're starting to fatigue, we can start to get a little lazy through that spine. So make sure you don't arch your back. So perhaps put your hand there as a reminder. You're not here for too long, maybe a couple of minutes at the most. So slightly, if you need to, tilt your pelvis, pull your tailbone slightly forward underneath you so you don't stick it out behind you, arch your back and let those back extensors take over. Now this next time, lift and lengthen and pull in. And again, lengthen and pull in. Well done. Push out, pull in. Let's do another 3. Push out. Well done. Squeeze that inner thigh. Just a couple more here. I know it's an achy one. Push away and pull in. Last one. Well done. Push away and pull in and lower. Now we're going to come over onto our front, but we're going to go with frog's legs again. So up and over. Okay, put your hands together, rest your head on the back of your hands. Take your knees to around about the width of the mat. Obviously, shorter legs, longer legs, you need to adapt. And then bring your big toes together. Okay, now press your hips heavy, heavy, heavy into the floor. We're going to come back to those glutes, buttock muscles. Press your hips heavy to the floor. Now, can you lift one thigh just an inch or 2 off the floor so your big toes will separate for a moment? Then lower back down so that your big toes meet each other. And then take the opposite thigh away and lower. And if you're thinking, good God, no, I can't, then this is one you need to practice. We need those glutes to fire up. Okay, lift and lower. Now, always put your seatbelt on before you drive away. So give the glutes a squeeze. Give that buttock a really strong squeeze. And then lift and lower. Squeeze and lift and lower. Now, if you want to turn the heat up on this one, take both knees off the floor. But only if the pelvis stays glued to the floor and you're letting your thighs lift, keeping your knees bent, keeping your toes pointing to the ceiling, making sure that your lower back is not taking over. Okay, otherwise you stay with your alternates. Just a couple more here. Make sure those glutes are working for you. And relax. Now we're going to stretch them out, don't you worry. But before we do, while we're here, we're going to do a little back extension work. Excuse me. I want you to take your arms into a capital E. So you're resting on your, you're resting on your forehead and your elbows are bent with your fingertips pointing forwards, and probably your arms are pretty much the width of the mat. So if I'm standing above you looking down, you're the shape of a capital E. Okay, lift your head, lift your chest, extend your neck so you're looking along the floor towards the skirting board in front of you. Push your hips forward into the floor, press them down and lower back down. Can you lift from your middle spine, not your lower spine? So the more you stay weighted through the front of the pelvis, the more you'll keep neutral through your lower back and be able to hinge or extend more through the middle spine. Lift your chest. Open up through those shoulders and lower. So when you lift your chest, I want you to imagine trying to very slightly separate your collarbones. Very slightly, don't exaggerate it, as you push your hips heavy to the floor. Keep going and add a single arm raise. As you lift, take one arm with you. As you lower, bring that arm back down. As you lift, take the opposite arm with you. And as you lower, take it back down. Keep it going. If you choose, you can keep both arms on the floor, or you could go for a double arm raise, but only if it doesn't compromise your technique. So the way you're working is the most important. What are your legs doing? They should be almost, if not totally together, certainly nearly together. So if your feet are at the width of the mat, please bring them a little closer. Let's do a couple more of these. Heavy through the front of the pelvis, keeping that space between the collarbones. Shoulders are down away from your ears. And bring it back home. Push yourself into 4-point kneeling. We'll just stretch out the middle back that's just been working, and then we'll stretch out those glutes. So draw your chin to your chest arch your back, open your spine. Feel a stretch there. Well done. Relax back into neutral. Now, just travel your hips slightly back towards your heels. Take your arms out in front. If your knees don't like this, a great way to save your knees, get your ball, your roller, a towel, and make a little cushion. So I sometimes do this to protect my knee, so that when you sit back towards your heels, you won't be able to over flex at the knee. You won't be able to overbend. So you've got that support there. So if you're not safe sitting back to your heels, that is an option for you. Alternatively, roll onto your back and pull your knees in towards you and give your knees a hug. So if you feel happy with that one, go ahead. Okay, come back up into 4-point kneeling. And we're going to find our way up onto our feet. So tuck in your toes. Now remember all the footwork that we started with. Let's see. So if you're lying on your back, just come over and join us again. Let's see how we get on with getting those heels into the floor. So tuck your toes in and lift your hips up to the ceiling. And now push your heels down. So we're going right back to where we started with that heel lengthening. Start to walk your hands in. Feel free to bend your knees if you need to. And just hang here. Let's give those hamstrings a bit of a stretch because they'll have tried to get involved earlier. Chin tucked in, eye line back towards your knees. Now, when we roll up in a moment, feel free to bend your knees slightly so that you don't overload your lower back. Feel free to use your legs as a prop, okay? And start to restack your spine, squeezing those abdominals, keeping those abdominals engaged, so that as you come back up, your back is supported as you come all the way up to standing. Stand tall and bring your arms to the ceiling. Now take your arms right away behind you. When you get to here, this is our tricky bit. Watch that this isn't happening. So pull those arms back and down, around and lift. And pull your arms back, open through your chest and around. Let's just do that one more time. Such a great exercise. I talk about this all the time. Such a great mobility move. So effective. You're getting strength into the upper back. You're opening through the front of the chest, opening through the front of the shoulders. Relax your arms back down. Take your head over to one side. Let your head feel heavy. If you choose, you can rest your hand here. Don't pull with your hand. Just let your hand become heavy. So there's no force. It's just encouraging it. But if you've got any doubts with your neck, please don't. Come slowly back to the center, slowly. Just rest in the center a moment. And then away to the other side. Please never, I know, I go on, I know I do. But please don't ever underestimate these moves. Because if you imagine that the body potentially could feel a bit more vulnerable, as the muscles start to lengthen, they relax. So basically our security team saying, okay, we're safe. They relax, then our, then our boundaries aren't as safely protected. So if we start jerking around, moving more swiftly, more injuries could be, done potentially because we're moving too quickly here when we're at a slightly less protected way, if that makes sense. So just be really, really respectful of your joints, your spine. Take your hand away, bring your head slowly back to the center. Take a moment just for everything to reset, and then turn and look away over one shoulder. And bring your head back to the center and away to the other side. Come back to your center, roll out your shoulders. That was a tough class. Well done. Always feel free to feedback. I hope you enjoyed it. Well done.